Put it on my bill. Zombies. Zombies are a pretty popular thing nowadays, you know. You got your zombie movies, your zombie games, your zombie coffee mugs, your zombie pillowcases, and your zombie games. And that's what I'm here for, right? I do zombie games. I do video games. So, without further ado, let's review a zombie game. Go down my list of games here. Batman's not a zombie. Batman's not a zombie. No zombies here. Zombies. Oh wait, those aren't zombies. I don't see any zombie games. Oh, fiddlesticks. It's Dead Rising, you guys. It turns out I have it in my Xbox right now. Dead Rising was the launch title for the Xbox 360 back in late 2006, and it was developed by Capcom, the same minds behind Resident Evil, specifically Keiji Inafune, rather than traditional survival horror games, Dead Rising doesn't have you fighting for a cure or running for military safe zones, but focuses on surviving until help finds you. Dead Rising's selling points that sets it apart from the endless horde of zombie games out there is that rather than utilizing guns and chainsaws, your selection of weaponry is, in theory, anything and everything. That is, everything you'd find in a small town shopping mall. This means restaurants offer knives and pans, hardware stores have sledgehammers for you to use, and kids stores offer more novel accessories like squirt guns and toy swords. But how much fun can it be to fight off the undead with pottery and furniture? Let's delve deeper and find out. Dead Rising puts you in the cheap goodwill loafers of Frank West, determined wartime photojournalist who is hell-bent on finding out how and why the zombie outbreak in Willamette started. Frank is flown in via freelance helicopter, and from the air bears witness to military blockades and what he originally perceives as a riot. Little does he know that these shenanigans are far from civilian protest. Dropped off at the roof of the town's shopping mall, Frank says his goodbyes to his helicopter pilot after making him promise that he'll be back to pick Frank up in 72 hours, 3 days from then. Along the way, we meet characters like Brad and Jesse, agents for the Department of Homeland Security, who are bent on catching the culprits responsible for all this and saving Dr. Barnaby, a crotchety old man who knows the exact hows and whys Frank is looking for. Then there's Otis, dear old Otis, mall janitor, famous for having the most dialogue in any game without a voice actor. He's a character, I'll tell you what. And as far as other characters, there's hang on, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, Otis. Yes. I'm doing a video right now. Okay. Okay, bye, Otis. Sorry, where was I? As far as antagonists go, there's Carlito and Isabella Keys, South American brother and sister, here in Willamette to do terroristic things. One, however, joins up with Frank and co. against the other. Which one will it be? I wonder. Then, there's the primary antagonist, balding Brock Mason, Special Forces captain who is neither mentioned nor seen at all until the very end of the game. Yes, that is a spoiler, he is the final boss. Through the story, we bear witness to your average twists and turns, all of the government's conspiracies and family terrorist plots you can handle, and arguable character development. To review the story, well, it's okay, it's decent. Nothing stellar goes on, but there's nothing too tacky. It's neither groundbreaking and endearing nor stereotypical and unoriginal. Of course, being a Western-style game designed by a Japanese developer means it does have its cheesy moments.
I've covered wars, you know.
Hey, wait a second. Now I know why Brad looks so familiar. He's just Dokes from the show Dexter, wearing Gus's clothes from Breaking Bad. Carlito is literally just Antonio Banderas, and Isabella is just Antonio Banderas with a vagina. Jesse is just some generic, big-titted dingus who contributes little to the plot outside of her cleavage. Story gets 5 I've covered wars memes out of 10. Moving on to the style segment. Once again, Dead Rising was one of the first big third-party games for the Xbox 360. Thus, Capcom wanted to showcase what the 360 was capable of technologically, and for its time it held up pretty well. The graphics were alright, good, realistic textures on everything. The main characters look okay, but other generic survivors look like shit. The character movement is a little jittery and awkward. The worst graphical error, I think, is Frank's haircut. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Oh, and one notorious trope in this game's graphics is the text. Usually, you only need to read these little dialogue boxes while you're talking to NPCs or on the phone with Otis. But when it's up, it's usually something semi-crucial to the plot, and if your TV isn't Super HDMI 1080p 69 megapixels Supreme Deluxe Edition, you'll fall behind. The zombies, however, steal the show in my opinion. Bloody, scarred, colorless, gray, gritty, realistic, and scary, just as they should be. Their movement and AI trumps that of the survivors for miles. And in terms of audio, I think Dead Rising is pretty good, pretty memorable, pretty varied. That's my jam. Bam, now I've got to scram, Mr. Hand, I'm a new to Bethlehem. Oh, my hand. And as far as presentation, I like how they took the macabre and horrific and mixed it in with a little novelty and, dare I say, mongoloid humor. Sure, since then it's been done to death, but at the time it was at least somewhat refreshing, somewhat original. Good. Very good. Dead Rising style. 7.5 Servbot masks out of 10. Go on to the gameplay. The sauce. Gameplay. Where to start? Well, the time system is the most unique central element, and bear with me here because I really don't know how I would explain it. So 72-hour mode, the primary game mode, obviously revolves around the 72 hours that you are in the mall. In these 3 days, the story missions, or case files, only take up like half of the time. And despite having a sizable selection of weapons to use and stores to visit, it may get boring just to kill zombies for the other half of the 3 days. Thus we have the time system. Every couple of hours or so, within the mall, Otis, yes, dear old Otis again, will call Frank and tell him about something he's seen on the security cameras. Either a survivor's in need of rescuing, a psychopath boss is lurking around, or something is going on to progress the story. Answering these calls are completely optional, and you can, if you wish, spend the entire 72 hours dicking around. It'd be a bore fest, but it's an option. The time sensitivity, though unique, is a common complaint for Dead Rising, because the optional missions, called scoops, and case files, expire within like a few game hours of them being started. So if you're wanting to do any of these scoops, you're gonna be hauling ass through zombie hordes just to earn some extra XP. Oh, I'm sorry, PP. Yeah, the experience points in this game are called PP. No, not that PP, UPP. It stands for prestige points. I don't know, just let it happen. And is it worth it to rescue survivors? Is it rewarding? Well, now we're on to the other largest criticism of the game, Survivor AI. Now, as we all know, escort missions in video games are notorious abominations, disgraceful anomalies, vilified taboos of video gaming. But escort missions in Dead Rising, well, most games only have escort missions once or twice, far and few between. Dead Rising utilizes escort missions as a primary gameplay mechanic. Are these missions pulled off well? To be brief, survivors are, as I mentioned earlier, more brain dead than the zombies. More often than not, they'll either run straight into a zombie crowd or just stop dead in their tracks. Like with Resident Evil's Ashley, the escortees constantly yell Frank's name in the whiniest, most annoying tone. You can give them the strongest weapons, and they'll use them like Walter Jr. uses his legs. You'll be constantly mashing the Y button, having Frank yell the same phrases over and over again just to keep the survivors from forgetting what they were doing.
Follow me! Follow me! Follow me! Follow me! Over there!
All in all, the escort missions and Survivor AI are PP.
Come on! Come on! Follow me! Come on! Come on! Follow me!
The last major critique I can conjure is Otis's transceiver calls. Of course, the loud ringing is a little obnoxious, but it's no real issue. The real issue is the debilitation of Frank during these calls. When Otis calls you and you answer, Frank has no means of attack and no means of defense besides running. You enter the state of super vulnerability. And if you don't answer these calls, like if you're in the middle of a zombie crowd and don't want to very gracefully fucking die, you'll miss the scoop. Meaning, you can't do the annoying, tedious escort mission. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. And the gall, the very nerve Otis has, if, during your walkie-talkie conversation, a zombie gets a hold of you due to your prolonged exposure to death, Otis will call back, whining about how rude it is to hang up on him. Old bastard, now you know why he's so infamous for being a dick.
Because he's a dick. Yeah. Yep, I'm still doing that video. No. Otis, I'm sorry. It's okay. I know it's rude. I'm sorry. Alright. Now look at you. Alright.
Now that we have all of the negative stuff out of the way, you should keep in mind that Dead Rising's gameplay is still good, don't get me wrong. The customization is enjoyable, the weapon selection broad, and the location is effective. It's just incredibly flawed at certain areas. It's a beginner's trap, it can be confusing, and to a lot of people, it's unappealing.
But that's okay. I still like it. I still have my nostalgia blinders on. Does that make me a bad person? Does that make me a bad reviewer? Yeah.
Gameplay gets 6 dumbass survivors out of 10.
So in conclusion, Dead Rising is okay. You know, it hasn't exactly aged well, but you know what they say, Dead Rising in total gets 6.5 transceiver calls from Otis out of 10.